everyone, this is me, Arlene, reporting. Today we are doing a Skybox tutorial. This will be in Doom 2 UDMF format, so Universal Doom Mapping format. This will cover how to define a Skybox in MAPINFO, how to define a six-sided Skybox in GLDEFS, and also how to do Skybox transfers, which uses the static int 190 line action. I will also show you how to use Sky2, but it's a MAPINFO defined Sky action, which allows you to have two Skyboxes in one map. And you can even have more with the static int line transfers, which work similarly to Sky transfers used in Boom. So we're going to go ahead and just quickly set up a new map. So as you can see, we're in GZDoom Doom 2 UDMF format. We will just quickly add our Doom 2. And we will also add, well, we can define it in a new PK3 structure or a WAD structure as well. For right now, we'll just go ahead and add Doom 2. We'll set up a quick PK3 as well in order to do this. So I'm just going to go ahead and get a quick box set up. So I will set this into 4 different pieces. And we're going to have little beams up on the ceiling here, just so that way we can have a decent looking sky. So just setting up this tutorial map here, that's going to show me everything I need to know about these skies. Goodness, it's been so long since I've used Doom 2 textures. So anyway, yeah, just setting this up really quick. Just go ahead and go with metal. And I'm going to set all of these to be F-sky. We'll go ahead and be defining our actual proper skies later. But the main thing that you want to know is that each of these 4 skyboxes are going to show you a different way of doing either a sky transfer or a just sky action in general. So one of these is going to be a plain sky. One of these is going to be Sky2 as defined in MAPINFO. This is going to be a transferred sky with one texture, and this is going to be a transfer sky with a skybox. I've been told you can do that. So we'll go ahead and get that set up. Okie doke, so we are going to go ahead and set up a new zip archive, which we will later turn into a PK3. I'm going to go ahead and put in a textures box, or textures folder into here, and then we're going to grab a skybox texture that I've been using. What do I feel like today? Red or green? I think green. So one thing to note as I'm putting these skies in is that each 6-sided skybox needs to have each of the cardinal directions, north, east, south, and west, and also a top and a bottom. So we're going to go ahead and put that in the textures folder. We're also going to save this really quickly as a PK3 structure. So this will be our example. We will also bring in, we'll do both, why not? We'll do the other one for our sky transfer. So there you go. So we have 2 different 6-sided skyboxes ready to go. The next thing I'm going to go ahead and grab out of here is I'm going to grab well, let's go ahead and open up OTEX and we'll pick up our regular texture skies because I like OTEX. Well, I thought I had OTEX in my We'll just go ahead and grab it out of OTeX 1.0. So obviously plenty of skies to choose from for OTeX. We're going to put in OSky 06. And we'll say OSky 23. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and set up a couple new text lumps. Go ahead and go into Notepad here. All that MAPINFO and GLDEFS are lumps that are, they're just text lumps, text files. Notepad, there we go. So, and using the example that I have from another PK3 that I'm using, we'll go ahead and write a new MAPINFO. Okay, so we have map 01, and we'll just have a nice name, example. Put that in brackets, and this is where we're going to define our sky. So sky 1 is going to equal, let's say, OSky, I think, which one did we grab? OSky 06. I'm putting 0.1 behind this. This will allow the skies to rotate. Sky 2 is going to equal what I'm going to call green, which will be defined in GLDEFS in a minute. You can also put in sky rotate, which will actually turn each of the skies. If it's a 6-sided skybox, it will turn fully. So that's when you see galaxy or nebula skies that turn, as you may often see in my WODs. This is how it is done. It is just done with a simple sky rotate. We'll just put level num as 1 just to make sure that this is all correct. I don't think I actually need to find the cluster, although it's usually a good idea to do so. Is there anything else that I'm missing? I think that should hopefully be it. All right, so we'll save that. Quickly in just our MAPINFO. In our regular DIM folder. MAPINFO. And really all you have to do in order to bring that in is go to the root directory of your PK3. You can also do this in WOD formats. You can do this that way, but in UDMF it's easiest to do a PK3 if you're using custom resources, only because you can just tidily package up your WOD in there. You don't have to do another WOD. I just find it much cleaner and more organized. So we are going to import files, and we'll go to our DOOM folder, and MAPINFO should be right there. And so yes, so this will define both sky 1 and sky 2 for us. Okay, so now we're going to do another text lump. And this is going to be our GLDEFS. Now, GLDEFS is a little bit different. And when we're defining skyboxes, it's, yeah, quite fun. So let me see where my GLDEFS, GLDEFS.skybox, here we go. The reason I have this set up this way is because I want to have different names for each type of item that I have in my work. So, but in any case, in GLDEFS, the way you're going to start off a skybox is with skybox. And then you're going to name your skybox. And this is what you use to define the skybox in MAPINFO. And again, go ahead and put it in brackets. Now there is an exact way that you must put in skyboxes for the editor to read them correctly, or for GZDoom to read them correctly rather. So it's north, east, south, west, top, bottom. Now you'll notice that in a couple of these other ones that I have in my example, they don't really show that. If you get your skyboxes from a different resource, ordinarily they will define for you what the tops, bottoms, etc. are supposed to be. In that case, just use what is in the README. Okay, so we'll say that is GLDEFS. And we'll load that into our PK3 as well. Okay, and Slade will automatically read these and see that if you name it MAPINFO or GLDEFS, if you have the text file name correctly, it will automatically set it as, for example, GLDEFS, it'll say GZDoom GLDEFS, or MAPINFO, it'll say ZDoom MAPINFO. Okay, so that should be everything on that little area. So we can actually go back to our map now. So we are going to save this as example. And one thing I will mention of note, you see me editing in Slade and then having the map open in the editor. If you are using a resource with a map, close the map before you edit your resources, otherwise your changes will not be saved. Okay, so now that we've made our PK3 as a resource, we can go ahead and add it, F2 to get into map options, and then we're going to open up the PK3. And you have to do it from PK3/PK7 file resource when you are adding it in. So if all is correct, so that's what we just defined as our Sky 1 is Sky 06, Sky 06. So this will be our Sky 1. Sky 2, whoops, can be defined as just sector effect 200. It will say Sky 2 MAPINFO. So as long as you have a Sky 2 defined in MAPINFO, it should show up in your editor. Well, it will not show up in editor, but it will show up in game. So we're going to go ahead and put in our player 1 start, and we're going to test it to make sure it works. If GZDoom decides to load. There we go. Okay, so that's correct. So our sector that we put in our second skybox, our Sky 2 that we defined in MAPINFO and GLDEFS is working. And it's also rotating, as you can see. Okay, so great, that works. The next thing that we're going to try, oh shoot, I remembered I forgot something when I was defining my GLDEFS. And again, so you see me close this, go back into editor. We are going to copy paste this because we have a second sky that we need to define in GLDEFS. You have to do this for every 6-sided skybox that you have. So we're just going to quickly do that. Luckily, the naming convention is the same. We just have to change the name. Oops. All right, and there's that. Okay, so now that we have our Sky 1 and 2 from MAPINFO, we are going to go ahead and do a new tag for this sector. So now that it's tagged as 1, we are going to create a dummy sector. And we are going to pick just any line on the sector. we are going to set it to line action 190, which is static init. This has just some miscellaneous properties that you can apply to the sectors. For this example, we are going to use the lines upper texture as a sky in any tagged sectors. So while this sector is 1, whatever sky I define on the line of this, on the upper portion of this line, will become the sky. So we're going to go osky23 as our upper texture. And there should be nothing else that you really need to do. You don't need to really do anything with activations. This works kind of like a 3D floor sector or any kind of dummy sector. You don't actually have to set an activation. It just works. Okay, so now we're going to check it out and make sure that it works. Which it does. Now the thing to remember about static INITs, I cannot do any rotating skies, so the sky will be static, unfortunately. But at the very least you have a new sky. So now we have 3 skies instead of just 2 skies. So now we're going to try it with a 6-sided skybox instead. Rightio, so now we can do our 6-sided skybox. The way you're going to do this, same idea. Make a dummy sector, set it to line action 190. We're going to set it as a sector tag of 2. We've got to define the sector. So, and again, make sure it's the last property. Use lines upper texture as a sky in any tag sectors. Now, the difference between this and the skybox I just did is that we are actually not going to pick a texture. Do not pick a texture from the skybox. All you are going to do is just type in the name of the skybox that you defined in GLDEFS. So in GLDEFS for this map, the skybox is just named fire. So we type in fire, no quotation marks or anything. And then that should be it. I'm going to tag this as 2. Tag this as 2, please. And then we're going to test it. And if done correctly, your skybox will show up. And again, not rotating, but it is there. So that is how you do 4 different types of skies. Regular MAPINFO defines sky 1. MAPINFO defines sky 2 with the sky 2 MAPINFO sector. MAPINFO sector action. 6-sided skybox with a static init transfer. And then a sky 1, or just a regular static init transfer with a 1 texture sky. So that is 4 different ways of doing skyboxes. Pretty standard stuff. There are also things like geometry, skyboxes, and things like that. I'm going to actually go over that really quickly. And we'll make another sector. Make another area here. And then what we can do, I'm just going to very quickly make some geometry here. I'm just going to make some quick little rocks. Oops. Obviously you can make your skybox as fancy as you want. So obviously this is going to be a little bit crowded. This is a very quick example to show you guys. So we're just going to go ahead and just give those a quick rock texture. Use some red rock, because I love me some red rock. And then we're going to take out that sky, or that texture, and set this as F sky. So what this will do, basically, is just give me a skybox. Actually, I'm going to make this much, much taller. Go ahead and make it nice and tall. Right, so we are just going to put in a quick skybox viewpoint. No really need to interact with anything. The only thing that you do need to do is give it a tag. And then you put in a picker and then define the skybox viewpoint tag. And we just want to apply it to the ceiling. And hopefully what that should do, that should allow us to view the skybox, which it does. So that works really well. Actually, that doesn't look too terrible considering I just made that very quickly. So yeah, you can actually make these as complicated as you like. You can also use, things like environment maps if that's your thing, if you really want to get fancy. But if you just want to, make a quick geometry skybox, this is the way to do it. So yeah, so that's 5 different ways you can make a sky. And that will be it for this tutorial. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will be putting in some relevant links to how to do some of the stuff that you see in today's video. But yep, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.